here is the voice of college football. You can follow him on YouTube at MarkRogersTV. He's got an incredible YouTube channel where he covers every single team, it seems, around college football. Here's Mark Rogers on Scott Kaplan on 710 ESPN. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Cap. How you doing?
Doing really good, man. Yourself?
I am doing great. A couple bad football games on tonight, but that's okay. We'll do better on Saturday.
I am watching number 7 Cincinnati tear apart East Carolina 55-17. And the only reason I'm watching it is it's not because I'm a gambler and I've got a bet on the game. I'm just watching it because it's football and I just will watch any football game. Are there other football games I could be watching tonight?
No good ones. I just got done watching Iowa dismantle a really bad Minnesota team, 35-7, and we've got FAU and FIU. So not a whole lot to go with tonight, but yeah, better things starting at noon Eastern time tomorrow.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, Mark Rogers is here, Mark Rogers TV on YouTube. Whatever college football team it is that you follow, chances are Mark covers it. So, Mark, let me talk to you about the news that happened earlier this afternoon, and that is the Pac-12 making this split decision that one game can't happen, another game can't happen, but take out the unhealthy team and the other unhealthy team, and let's try and put together the two healthy teams, which is how UCLA and Cal come together on Sunday. For me, when you tell a coach and a team on Friday that they're not playing who they thought they were and now they're playing somebody else, you don't have time to plan. You don't have time to study, to break down, to install game plans. You just got to go with what you have. And I'm not so sure that's a great thing in terms of what is the Pac-12 really trying to achieve here other than let's play the games. I don't know. What is your opinion of what's happening here?
Well, I think you've got great perspective on it coming from that side of it, coming from the locker room. The people that make the decisions, unfortunately, they look at it as a puzzle. They look at it as just inanimate objects that we move around and let's fix whatever we can fix and make it work. And let's not worry about the ramifications from a human standpoint. It just works from a logistical standpoint so we can make it work. I will defend the Pac-12 to a certain extent because the Big Ten put this in play, meaning their original intent was, let's get the season started before everybody else. Then we will have more flexible pieces to go to. And they built a adaptable schedule that if teams A and B couldn't play in week one, well, we can slot them in against other teams. And they had a completely built-in system that kind of cascaded throughout the schedule. The Pac-12, who most of us did not even think were going to get on the field this fall, there is a situation, and I can understand from a logistical standpoint, the season is so short that they've boxed themselves into to a certain extent that they're just trying to get as many games in as possible. They've already had 2 cancellations in week 1. So I just never heard of anything that was put out there to begin with to say, we may be going to these type of options, so everybody needs to be on alert. But these could be some of the moves that we're going to make. I heard nothing out of the Pac-12 like that, and that should have been communicated out of the gate.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the way it was phrased, that we're trying to give our student athletes opportunities with maximum scheduling flexibility. I mean, this is, we keep hearing this, in real life. These are unprecedented times. Yeah, these are unprecedented times in college football too, where the game is scheduled and it's not canceled or postponed. It's just completely changed. We changed the opponent on Friday when the game is now going to be played on Sunday. We're talking to the voice of college football, Mark Rogers. You can follow him on YouTube, Mark Rogers TV. He covers every college football team. Mark, let me get your opinion on this, though, because I saw your post earlier today on Sided. You asked the question, will an undefeated Pac-12 champion make the college football playoff? And that's what I'm trying to get into the head of the Pac-12 here. Let's say USC, who's playing Arizona tomorrow, let's say USC runs the table. Is USC, do you think, undefeated? Do they have a chance? Or if an Oregon runs the table, does a Pac-12 team have a chance of making the playoff if they go undefeated? What do you say?
Well, I get hit with these questions every day, and you can't run them through a vacuum, meaning obviously what's going on elsewhere in the country impacts the Pac-12. I think that it would be nice to know what the approach of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee is going to be, because we know that they're humans. Therefore, they have a perception of the Pac-12, and that perception is not good based on the last 4 or 5 years and poor performance against the other conferences. But the only fair way to evaluate it is just to take this season in and of itself. Now, we have no non-conference games, and that's typically the only way we have to evaluate these conferences are the big matchups against each other. So those are null and void. We don't have those. So my way to approach it would be to take the 4 best records in college football, the 4 best champions records, and then there's going to be some type of a tie. And because of the inconsistency of number of games played, there's going to be a 7-0 to be compared to a 10-1, for example. And then I think you have to break it down to which team was more dominant against its schedule. I don't think that's going to be how it plays out, because there are the voices in the room that go by the eyeball test. And the eyeball test right now gives the Pac-12 a second strike that's added to the first strike of not playing enough games or a sufficient number of games compared to the other conferences. So I think the Pac-12 is in a really bad spot, although the perceived 2 best teams are Oregon and USC. So one of those 2 would have to be the one to make it out undefeated, to have a fighter's chance of getting into the playoffs.
Let's see how this thing all plays out. USC's got to get through Arizona tomorrow, and I say it like that because they just barely, miraculously made it through Arizona State last week. Mark Rogers is the voice of college football, MarkRogersTV on YouTube. Mark, you have a game like Alabama, LSU that gets postponed. You have a game like Ohio State, Maryland actually gets canceled. So I'm looking at the slate tomorrow. What are you keeping your eye on? I suppose maybe number 2 Notre Dame against Boston College. BC did give Clemson a run for their money. What other big games you got your eyes on tomorrow?
Well, if you believe in trap games and you believe in letdowns, that's exactly the game you go to, because it was just 2 weeks ago that BC, in the classic look-ahead game for Clemson and going to South Bend the next week, almost tripped up against Boston College at home, down 28-10 in the second quarter. And now here we are with BC. And they're Notre Dame transfer quarterback, so there's an interesting sideline and storyline there with Phil Jurkovec, transfer quarterback, who up until last week, a lot of Notre Dame fans would have taken over Ian Book as their starting quarterback. He's really good. Not a lot of people know about it. He doesn't play with the personnel that he would have at Notre Dame. But I expect BC to give Notre Dame a really good game. It's an 11-point dog at home. So that's one to keep an eye out for. If Notre Dame slips up, Miami's there to take that second position for an ACC championship game berth, but Miami's got a difficult assignment potentially at Virginia Tech. So those would be the 2 that come to mind. Arkansas, Florida could be interesting. The Hogs are a feel-good story this year, playing much better this season under Sam Pittman.
All right. Well, I'm going to be watching a bunch of college football this weekend. I'm even getting up Sunday morning to watch UCLA Cal, presuming that game actually goes off as planned. Mark Rogers, it is great to have you on the show. Continued success. I love your YouTube channel. I appreciate it. I thought it was a great question you asked today about the Pac-12 on Side, and I look forward to talking to you again real soon. Thank you, Mark.
Cap, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Mark Rogers TV on YouTube. I've found that I enjoy watching so much content on YouTube all of a sudden. I used to think everything was about traditional stuff. I got to get Kirk Herbstreit on because everybody knows who Kirk is, and we'll have Kirk Herbstreit talk about college football. Or Paul Feinbaum. These are the people that you watch on ESPN, so that's who you know. I've got more guys that have thousands and thousands of viewers on YouTube. I love talking to these guys. Very cool.